We are with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today as they begin life without Tom Brady. They brought in Baker Mayfield to take his place after he showed well in his limited time with the Rams toward the end of last season. Not necessarily a rebuild for the Bucs because they are in a division that many believe is winnable for just about everybody that's in it. Let's go out to Tampa now and bring in Rick Spielman and Pete Prisco doing the Lord's work out there at mandatory mini camps. Rick, Baker Mayfield, I think a lot of fans are looking at him as just a stopgap for the Bucs, but the Bucs are telling people that they believe he could be a franchise quarterback. What do you think?
Yeah, no, we watched him out here today. We had an opportunity to interview him, and his mindset is he chose Tampa because this is where he wants his last stop to be, or hopefully a long-term career. And when you watch him out there at practice today, I know they say there's an open competition with Trask, but he was clearly the number one quarterback here, and I think he will be very good in this offense and Dave Canellis' offense and how he's operated today and what we saw.
I think he's going to play well. I really do. I think this is a great system for him. I think he's going to be able to make all the throws. He's got some good weapons outside. And again, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He wouldn't admit that when I asked him about it, but you can tell he does. He's been through a humbling process. I mean, he was the first pick drafted and then played well, and then lost the job, went to Carolina, didn't do well there, goes to the Rams and kind of resurrects his career a little bit. I think this is a great opportunity for Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to play really well this year.
Well, ask a Bucs fan what they're most excited about this upcoming season. They might not say Baker Mayfield. They might not say any particular player. They might say it's a uniform. Because, guys, the creamsicles are coming back this year. They're going to wear them against the Lions in, week 4 or 5, October the 12th. Pete, does that do anything for you? Week 6?
Look, I love the uniforms. I'm a big creamsicle guy. It takes me back. It takes me back to yesteryear. I think those uniforms are fantastic. I wish they would go back to those and actually use those as their full-time uniforms. I think the whole, playing one game here in one set and one game here in another. I know why they do it. It's to make money. I get it. But I love those old creamsicle uniforms. I wish they'd use them on a full-time basis. By the way, they play the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I'm more of a popsicle guy, so I'm just okay with the creamsicle uniforms.
Hey, our producer Jack went and found some old pictures of you guys back in the day when the Bucs were wearing those creamsicle uniforms. And there's Rick next to his brother, black and white. Goodness gracious, that's a long time ago. Rick,
that's the Meathead Brigade right there. That's what that is. Meathead 1 and Meathead 2. That's what that is.
So
how about the stashes? The stashes look great.
You know what they called those guys back in the day? The Disgusting Brothers. Let's go on to Pete. We've got a picture of Pete as well. Oh, my God. Pete, you look svelte back in the day.
Yeah, and you know what? That isn't far off, to be honest with you, except I had a little more hair. But that outfit, that's pretty darn good. The chain, everything. I think you nailed that, except I had a big bushy head of hair back then.
And you were a little bit squarer. That's not your body.
I didn't have that thing. Whatever the hell that was. That was terrible looking.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back when he was playing for the Miami Hurricanes. So Tampa fans are looking forward to seeing what Baker Mayfield can do. The creamsicle uniforms week 6. Other NFL news, and there's quite a bit of it coming out this week, and a lot of teams a little bit worried about some stars like the Buffalo Bills. Stefon Diggs was not at Bills' mandatory minicamp, and Sean McDermott had this to say about it.
Sean, just a question about attendance. Is everyone here? And I know there's a lot of questions about Stefon.
Yeah, Steph is not here. Everybody else is here at the current time.
How concerned are you about that?
Oh, very concerned. Yeah, very concerned.
So it's not an excuse.
I'm not going to get into and listen. I respect everyone's questions and what they want to know about our team. Right now, I'm not going to get into that anymore. So we'll talk about practice. Happy to do that. Happy to answer those questions, and we'll move forward from there.
All right, so Sean McDermott is, quote, very concerned that Stefon Diggs, heading into the second year of a 4-year deal, is not at mandatory minicamp. Pete, should Bills fans be concerned?
No, they shouldn't be. And look, the concern is what happened at the end of last season when he stormed off after the playoff game, was not happy. His body language was terrible during that game. He wasn't really as big a part of the offense as he wanted to be, and I think that showed its way, I think, throughout the offseason. I think that has something to do with that. But I don't think this is anything. And you talk to some people up there, this isn't that big a deal.
Yeah, no, and I talked to his representative, Adisa, who is his agent, and Stefon Diggs, he told me, and I just spoke with him a few minutes ago, that he is up in Buffalo, that he did report for his physical, that he is sitting in meetings. Now, he's not out there at practice, but he is actually up there in the building.
So, by the way, Chris, real quick, this can't be about money. He's the 5th highest paid guy in the league. They just redid his deal in March where they gave him $16 million bonus. I mean, this isn't about money. This is something else at play, because I think there's some bad blood going back to what happened last year.
Well, isn't that concerning, though? I mean, you say Bills fans shouldn't be concerned, but, I mean, that sounds kind of concerning to me.
Well, get in the room with Josh Allen. The two of you sit down, and they're very close. They're very friendly. It's a good relationship. And I think when you can get cooler heads together, there won't be an issue. I think this is overblown. I think anybody who misses a mini camp, we always make too much about it.
Yeah, but he's not missing. He's not out of practice right now, but he is up there and he's reported.
Well, like Devin White here in Tampa is not. He's having a hold in. He wants a new contract. He's not practicing. So I don't put too much stock into this. You worry about it come August.
All right, how about another big-name receiver, DeAndre Hopkins? He is visiting another team in that division this week, the New England Patriots, also the Tennessee Titans. Pete, where would you like to see Hopkins go, and what do you think he has left?
I'm in the camp that I don't think he has as much left as most people out there do. I don't think he runs that well. He never did. I think he's slowing down. And there are people, let's be honest about it, there are questions about him inside the room at times. Is he a great teammate? Does he like to practice? He doesn't love to practice, which is weird that New England is even considering him. So I don't think there's a great market for him. And, Rick, we talked to some people. We know there's not a big market in terms of money.
No, and if he thinks he's going to go out there and get what he was making, or even OBJ-type money, which was around $15 million, I don't think that market's out there for him. You heard that he was in Tennessee, but the curious thing is he's up in New England. Now, Bill O'Brien, the offensive coordinator, traded him away, so I wonder if there's some fences that have to be mended up there before he would even actually go up there and join New England.
That one's strange to me because, again, he doesn't practice. I mean, he's a guy who hasn't been great in practice. And in New England, one of their whole mandates is you got to be able to practice, and he doesn't practice a lot.
Practice? Who needs practice?
You do. Lots of it.
Speaking of Rick, in his time as a general manager, he once upon a time drafted Dalvin Cook in Minnesota. The Vikings cutting ties with him, so he's on the open market. Most signs pointing toward Miami, that other coast on Florida, guys. If you're in that front office, Rick, do you make that move for Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, I think Chris Greer is all in, and that AFC East has been a little bit of an arms race this offseason. The New York Jets go out and get Aaron Rodgers, trade for him. You're trying to catch the Buffalo Bills. So I think the Miami Dolphins, they did not have a lot of draft picks this year. One was forfeited because of the tampering with Tom Brady. The other one they traded for Chubb in Denver. So they traded for Ramsey this year. So Chris Greer, the GM down there, had a very good offseason, and we talked about it last week with the meaning of hiring Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator. So they have done a lot to try to get in that race, to try to go in there and maybe even get into the championship game in the AFC. By adding Dalvin Cook, you got Mostert, you got Wilson, you got A-Chain. Mostert and Wilson have been injured a lot. They have some durability concerns. Imagine Dalvin Cook in that offense as another explosive playmaker to go along with Waddle and Hill.
But you don't give him a big contract.
No.
That would be foolish. And by the way, they can't. They got some contract extensions on the horizon, including Christian Wilkins, who's probably going to get $20 million per year to play defensive tackles. So you got to be careful with it. If it's the right price, yes. If it gets a little out of hand, and what would be the right price? $7 million? $8 million?
Well, it's not going to be what he was making. They're scheduled to make $13 million, but if you can get these guys between $5, $6, $7 million, you're getting a bargain and getting a very good football player, and not only on the field, but what he would bring to that locker room as a leader as well.
Saquon Barkley wants a big contract. He says he would think about sitting out the season if he and the Giants don't work out a long-term deal by that July 17th deadline, which is coming up on about a month away now. You know, they put the franchise tag on him. says he might not sign it. Rick, how are you handling that if you're the Giants?
Yeah, I don't think it's a panic point right now. I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think when you get to that 11th hour, right before you get into training camp to see if it's close to making a deal, we were able to get a lot of deals done as that player reported to training camp. Right now, there's not a lot of pressure on either side. He didn't have to be at minicamp. You know, he hasn't signed his franchise tag, so he's not under contract, so he's not getting fined. It'll be interesting to see when that 11th hour comes up that the pressure comes on, and I think they'll get something done with him, but I don't think Barkley's the type of player or person that's going to hold out.
I'm going to give you guarantees. Guaranteed. Rick cheats in golf. Dane has a bad temper, and Saquon Barkley will not sit out the season. Guaranteed. That's such garbage. Give me a break. The guy tore his ACL, had to battle back to get to where he was last year, and he's going to sit out the season? I got 2 words for you. Le'Veon Bell. It doesn't work out.
Rick, you're not disputing that. Are you really going to take that from Pete? He says you cheat at golf.
Who lost yesterday?
See, Pete, not a great golfer. I'm glad to see you guys getting some time to get out there on the links while you're supposed to be working. That's it's fun to hear while we work away down here in the office in Fort Lauderdale. One more thing for you guys, and Rick, I'm going to go to you on this one because it's another Vikings player. They've already moved on from a few big names. Adam Thielen, we just talked about Dalvin Cook. How about Danielle Hunter holding out for a new deal? Is he going to be the next person to leave?
Yeah, well, first of all, we were rehearsing for the show for about 4 hours yesterday to get prepared for today while we were out there on the golf course. So I have to say that we were working, actually. But Danielle Hunter is another player. He had 10.5 sacks, very good pass rusher, still in the prime of his career. I think that Minnesota is kind of halfway through a rebuild and restructure. I don't know if they're going to be able to get an extension done with Danielle Hunter either because he's entering the last year of his deal, and he's not going to probably show up unless he gets a long-term extension or they probably trade him. But you look at all the players, and I understand they're starting to get to the end of their career or getting into their second or third year or second or third time contract, so they may not want to invest in those older players, bring in their new regime's own players. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think Danielle Hunter will hold out, but I know he wants a long-term extension.
They're just cleaning slate of the past GM, the garbage he left behind. That's all they're doing. They're getting rid of all Rick Spielman. Kirk Cousins is next, by the way, because he's going to be out of there next year. So it's one by one. Rick Spielman drafted them. They had a couple good years, and out the door they go.
Low-hanging fruit for Pete Prisco. Who needs that low-hanging fruit to reach it every now and then? Pete and Rick Spielman out there with our buddy Dane, working the camera, as always. I hope you guys get a chance to get back out on the links a little bit later. Rick is on the First Pick podcast with Ryan Wilson. It's called With the First Pick, by the way. You got to put with the in front of First Pick, or it's going to take you somewhere else. Latest episode, sharing updates of rookies at NFL mandatory minicamps.